Welcome back to the Green Beans Go channel. It's your host, me, and I come to you today a little bit wishy-washy, a little bit undecided, and I decided that the best way to continue forward is to take that first step. And the first step for this NFL predictions video is just simply to press record. The style of this video is going to be very organic, very podcasty, very stream of consciousness. And I've kind of gone back and forth lately with doing videos like that, but also doing overly edited videos. And I think there is a time and place for both. But as I was looking through these NFL awards, I said, I think it is more useful to an audience if we just walk through this together. So that's what we're going to do today. And if you want all of my official picks for NFL awards, you can skip to the very end of this video. You can find them all there laid out in an Excel spreadsheet. Slow down, relax. If people want to watch this video, they'll watch this video. I get a lot of bent out of shape about it. I get bent out of shape. I'm bending myself. They call me Gumby in the streets the way I bend. NFL awards, let's talk about it. We'll talk first about MVP. What I need to say about awards is these are outlier, human psychology impacted situations. This is not who's going to have the most passing yards. This is who are people with a bias going to vote for when all's said and done. And when I look at the history of this, you see that it's been since 2012 that we've had anybody besides a quarterback win this award. This is a quarterback award. Last year's Saquon Barkley, one of the best running back seasons in the NFL. He doesn't win the MVP. Josh Allen wins the MVP. And why does Josh Allen win the MVP? I think because Josh Allen could have won it in 2023, 2022 with his stats, but they gave it to Patrick, they gave it to Lamar, and there was some voter fatigue. We don't know what this award truly means. Was Saquon Barkley the most impactful player for his team? Depends how you define impactful. And that's what makes this so difficult. You see Aaron Rodgers winning it twice back-to-back, but outside of that, it is rare that we have players winning it twice back-to-back. You're telling me Tom Brady wasn't deserving of this award potentially 3 times in the last 12 years? I would say he was. So I think there's a lot of human bias and perception that goes into this. So let's take a look at some odds. Let's take a look at some of the names that are likely to win, and then I'm going to walk through how I think about these things from the perspective not only of between the grid marks on the grass, baby, but from the perspective of people voting on this. Lamar Jackson, I don't think is going to win this award simply because he's won this award twice. And you may say that's bold logic. That's flawed logic. We see Aaron Rodgers' name on here 3 times. Why can't Lamar do it? Because I don't think they will vote for Lamar. I don't think they will vote for Josh Allen. I don't think they will vote for Patrick Mahomes. When there is a guy on this list in the top 5 players who potentially could have had an argument made for him over the last half decade. And that guy's name is Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is my pick to win MVP. If he stays healthy, I think the Cincinnati Bengals continue to roll. They have a dynamic offense. They have playmakers. We've seen it time and time again. And Josh Allen is sitting on the Mount Rushmore of these top 4 quarterbacks. All 3 of these guys have their faces fully etched on this Mount Rushmore, clearly defined. And Joe Burrow is worthy of etching his face into the stone. And I think this year he finally gets etched into the stone. I'm not saying Josh Allen doesn't even have a better season than Joe Burrow. Josh Allen may have better stats than Joe Burrow. This award is not about raw statistics. It is about a perception. It is about voting. It is about fairness. And you see guys like Jaden Daniels on here, CJ Stroud, sort of the young bucks, who I believe will win this award eventually. But you're not going to give an award to Jaden Daniels and CJ Stroud before you've given an award to Joe Burrow. I firmly believe that. It may be flawed, but that's what I believe. Joe Burrow is my pick for this award. I look at a guy like Jalen Hurts, and I think there is value here at 20-1. Potentially even Jordan Love at 20-1. These 2 guys, I think, will have winning seasons, successful seasons. And if Jalen Hurts can step up his game above that of Saquon Barkley, if we can kind of shift our attention from the running back position on this team to Jalen Hurts, and if they continue to be dominant and they win 13, 14 games, I think there is a conversation to be had about Jalen Hurts. If Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson have identical seasons in stats and in record, Jalen Hurts wins this award over him simply because he has not won the award yet. I firmly believe that's how this goes. The only other guy I look at on here and maybe piques my interest is Brock Purdy. The 49ers are a team you're going to hear me discuss a lot in the next 25 minutes. Brock Purdy is the recipient of a very easy schedule. And people are going to say, well, who does Brock Purdy have to throw to? Fair point. What about their offensive line? Fair point. What about if teams overperform their expectations and their strength of schedule may appear easy in August, but by the time we get around to February, we're saying, wow, the Titans were better than we expected. Fair point. That's why I like Joe Burrow. But if the 49ers do win 14 games, it's going to be very hard to ignore Brock Purdy in the conversation. That's what I like. We'll talk official plays at the very end. Up next, we have Offensive Player of the Year. We look at this. We have running backs the last 2 years, wide receivers 2 years before that. Running back, wide receiver. We do have a quarterback in 2018. It's been a while. Running back, 2 quarterbacks here. So it's not unreasonable for a quarterback to win this award. But since the MVP has been determined as a quarterback award, it feels like the Offensive Player of the Year is sort of the, okay, fine. Who was the biggest producer on the field? That was not a quarterback. Adrian Peterson, you'll see him in 2012 on Offensive Player of the Year. Yes, he won both MVP and Offensive Player of the Year in 2012. We look at these odds. They're not giving it back to Saquon. I firmly believe they will not give the award to Saquon 2 years in a row. He's going to have to do what he did last year again, and then some to get this award. I don't see that being the result of the 2025 season. So I'm out on Saquon. Jamar Chase would be my pick. And if you could parlay Joe Burrow MVP, Jamar Chase Offensive Player of the Year, I say that'd be awesome, but you can't because it's correlated. And it should be correlated. And you shouldn't be allowed to do it. I think we see a quarterback combo, wide receiver, MVP Offensive Player of the Year situation this year. That's my pick. Justin Jefferson, I think, struggles with J.J. McCarthy. I don't think J.J. McCarthy is who people expect him to be. I don't think J.J. wins this. Jahmyr Gibbs is interesting, but I think David Montgomery and the presence of him as a goal line back potentially eats away at Gibbs' opportunities. If David Montgomery was not on this team, I would be interested in Gibbs. Derrick Henry, for the same reason I don't like Gibbs, I don't like Derrick Henry because of Lamar. Lamar is too much of a playmaker for all the eyes to be on Derrick Henry. Bijan Robinson is interesting. I am tempted to give a lean of Bijan Robinson. What scares me is the production of this offense. What scares me is Michael Penix Jr. There's too many question marks. I do see Bijan having a fantastic year, maybe a historic year, but what worries me is the potential of this team, and if they fall behind, they got to pass, and we know that that hurts running backs. The luxury that Saquon had was leading a lot of games and being the focal point of an offense. I don't know if Bijan is quite that yet. Christian McCaffrey is tempting because if we go with the narrative that this team will be dominant, they'll be up in games, and they'll be handing the ball off to kill clock, that's fascinating, but his health does scare me. Looking down this list, Jaden Daniels is perplexing. If they do the Joe Burrow MVP on the basis that he has not won it, and we can't give it to Jaden Daniels before we give it to Joe Burrow, which I believe is in the mind of a lot of these guys, but Daniels does have a dominant year, I can see them going, hey, Joe, you get the MVP, but Jaden, we're going to respect what you were able to do. Jaden Daniels, Offensive Player of the Year. It's possible. And if for some reason they switch around and do something funny, and they're just desperate to give Joe Burrow an award, maybe their defense doesn't do what it is supposed to do this year. Maybe their defense does not improve. And we see this offense put up 24, 27 points a game, but go, 9 and 8, that's right. There's 17 games. Then maybe he's not MVP worthy, but they say, look, Joe, you balled out. We'll give you Offensive Player of the Year. So I would say Jamar Chase is my number one pick. There's a conversation to be had about Jaden Daniels, maybe even Joe Burrow. We'll talk about the official play at the end. Defensive Player of the Year, I'll tell you right now, this is not my strong suit. This is not my wheelhouse. I have a pick for you, and I have a definition about why. But you see it can go for linebackers, tackles, ends, and corners. There is no rhyme. There is no reason. I'm going to tell you right now, my pick is Nick Bosa. Again, I think the 49ers dominate. I think they play a lot of weak teams, and I think they play a lot of teams that are going to be fighting from behind, passing a lot, which means quarterbacks dropping back, opportunities for sacks from Nick Bosa. Myles Garrett's on a bad team. I don't think the opposing team is going to be doing a lot of passing against them. So I don't see Myles Garrett having a ton of sacks. Micah Parsons, tremendous player. What's he doing with his contract? Is he happy in Dallas? How does that look? I'm staying away. Aiden Hutchinson, for the reason I like Nick Bosa, you could also like Aiden Hutchinson here at 7-1. I wouldn't hate you for an Aiden Hutchinson play, but if he wins Comeback Player of the Year, which we will talk about in a second, are they going to double up and give him 2 awards? I'm not so sure. So we'll hold off on that. TJ Watt's interesting. I'm not so sure. Will Anderson could have been in a conversation last year for Defensive Player of the Year. Maybe you like him to repeat some of that success. But again, like I said, this is not my wheelhouse. This is not my specialty. So I'm not going to sit here and walk through a lot of these guys and pretend I know what I'm talking about. I do think there's value at Nick Bosa, 11-1, given his schedule. Offensive Rookie of the Year. This is one of my favorite conversations this year because I think it is so glaringly obvious who to pick. I think there is 1 or 2 options. It's quarterback, it's wide receiver, it's quarterback, it's running back, it's quarterback, it's running back. It's a mix. There has not been a consensus in the last half decade at who is deserving of this award. They truly give it to the best offensive rookie. Ashton Jeanty is number 1 on the list. I am low on Ashton Jeanty. I get the pros. Pete Carroll likes the running back position. He should have opportunities. But there is so much newness on this team. I think the identity is still yet to be established. And while it would be wise to maybe establish that identity around a guy like Ashton Jeanty, your first-round pick, I don't know if that's what's going to happen. We see Jacoby Myers wanting out. Why does Jacoby Myers want out? Is it because he doesn't think his volume will be there because they're going to focus on Ashton Jeanty? Maybe. That's a pro for Ashton Jeanty at that plus 250. But is their offensive line that of the Philadelphia Eagles with Saquon Barkley? No, it is not. How easily can other teams game plan around a guy like Ashton Jeanty when you do not have threats at Geno Smith? Jalen Hurts is a little bit more of a threat offensively than Geno Smith, both with his feet and maybe with his arm. Wide receiver-wise, do the Philadelphia Eagles possess more talent than do the Raiders? Probably. Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers, excellent. Great season last year. I just think there's too many unknowns for me to like Ashton Jeanty as the favorite in this spot. Cam Ward is my pick. Every day of the week and twice on Sunday, Cam Ward is in an easy division. Cam Ward is going to have opportunities. Cam Ward has veterans around him. Cam Ward has weapons around him. Cam Ward has everything he needs to succeed. And I believe Cam Ward will succeed. And I believe Cam Ward will win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Maybe one of my favorite, most confident picks throughout. Omarion Hampton, he is in an offense that likes to run the ball. I think Najee Harris gets more work than is being predicted. So he scares me a little bit. Travis Hunter, if I knew Travis Hunter was going to play wide receiver and wide receiver only for the entirety of the year and he was going to stay healthy and that was his focus, I'd love that number 10-1. I don't know how they're going to use Travis Hunter. We don't know how nobody knows about Travis Hunter. I still kind of like the 10-1. McMillan is fascinating. I think there is a conversation to be made about McMillan. Travion, I think he's going to be a great production. But where's the line of running back by committee with Stevenson? And where's the line of, okay, fine, Henderson's our guy? I can't answer that. I don't know. That's why he makes me a little nervous. Emeka Ibuka, I think the offense is a little too loaded. I think there's too many mouths to feed. So I do not believe that he will have the success that it would take to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. And let's go to Tyler Warren, who is my dark horse in this category. You want to bet Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, and Tyler Warren? I think you build yourself a nice portfolio. You could even throw McMillan in there. I think one of those 4 guys wins this award. Now, my devil's advocate is Brock Bowers had the best rookie tight end season we've ever seen in the NFL. Undoubtedly. Now, will Tyler Warren have to replicate that? I don't think so. I think these voters are just stupid enough that he won't have to. The reason Brock Bowers did not win last year was because Jaden Daniels had such a stellar season, and quarterbacks get preference. Looking at this list, the only quarterback is my favorite, Cam Ward. If Cam Ward has a mediocre season and loses, that opens up the door for a guy like Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren is the best wide receiver on the Colts offense. Tyler Warren is not a wide receiver, but he is the best wide receiver on the Colts offense. Of course, that brings up the question, Daniel Jones, really? You're going to back a guy who's catching balls from Daniel Jones? It's not the smartest thing. Never said it was. But at 22-1, I think Tyler Warren is going to be the recipient of volume. I think they're going to be trailing in a lot of games, and they're going to have to compete, and they're going to have to throw, and Warren's going to be the guy that gets it done. And at 22-1, I think there's a conversation. If this board was littered with quarterbacks who could steal the award, Warren's not interesting. There's only one quarterback ahead of him, and he's my favorite pick, Cam Ward. Don't mistake me. I like Cam Ward most of all, but I think Tyler Warren is a sneaky second option. This is one of my favorite markets this year. I think there's a lot of potential here. Next up, we have Defensive Rookie of the Year. I'm not going to sugarcoat, not going to pretend. I'm going to give you a pick at the very end, but right now we're not going to talk about anything because forget it, I'm not versed. Comeback Player of the Year is as tilting as Rookie of the Year is intriguing. I hate this award. I utterly despise this award. If you go to the Wikipedia page and look it up, it says the metrics for giving out this award are kind of unknown. This award really is impossible to nail down what the qualifications are. So why do we even have it? If we cannot accurately give a framework for what it takes to win this award, why are we giving out the award? That's a question I can't answer. Typically, it's injuries, coming back from an injury. Joe Burrow won it last year. I think that's dumb. I would have given it to Sam Darnold. Oh, well, Sam Darnold wasn't injured. Yeah, but he was a backup for the entire year. And he walks into a new system, a new offense, and he leads them to one of their best records in this decade, and he leads them to a playoff berth. And I think Sam Darnold deserved it last year. Joe Burrow gets it because he was injured for 6 games the year prior. It's a stupid award. Regardless, it is a dynamic market. A defensive player is the favorite to win it. So if you want to talk about Defensive Player of the Year, if he's more likely to win Comeback Player of the Year and they give it to him, I don't think they're going to give him both. That's why I like Joey Bosa on the other side. Dak Prescott misses 6 to 8 games last year. I think he's in an interesting spot. I don't think he would truly define what the award stands for. You know, like how he comes back from missing half the year. Is that good enough? I don't know. McCaffrey only plays 4 games. Can he stay healthy? If he does, I think he is a reasonable contender. Trevor Lawrence, I didn't even know Trevor Lawrence was injured last year. J.J. McCarthy, I know didn't play a snap. We saw Sam Darnold ball out, but I don't think J.J. McCarthy can replicate what Sam Darnold did, so I'm out on that. Nick Chubb is fascinating, especially if Joe Mixon never sees the field. If it is Chubb's team and, you know, a guy like Woody Marks, who's on the Rookie of the Year conversation, does not do much as a backup running back to Chubb. If this is truly Chubb's team and it's not a committee, Chubb is an interesting thing. I don't trust that, though, so I'm staying off. Max Crosby, couldn't have told you he was hurt last year. Daniel Jones missed some time, gets a new team. Now we start to build a narrative. Okay, people didn't know if it was Richardson, if it was Jones. Jones comes into this team after missing last year, half the season, sort of like Joe Burrow. And if Daniel Jones balls out, and I mean has to win 11 games, like the floor for Daniel Jones to win this game is the Colts got to win 11 games. You don't think the Colts win 11 games? Stay away from this pick. And then you got some wide receivers sprinkled in here. Cooper Kupp, Rashee Rice is missing half the year. I wouldn't touch him. Diggs, Godwin, Olave. Richardson's going to have to battle. I don't like that. It's gross. Bottom line is this is just gross. I'll give you my picks at the end. Coach of the Year. When I look at this list, I see one thing loud and clear, and that is expectations. The Vikings went 14-3, completely blew the expectation out of the water. Cleveland Browns. Nobody expected the Browns to go 11-6 2 years ago. Giants, 9-7, not the best record, but the culture changed and they won more games than projected. Titans, 12-5, one more game. It's all about winning more games than what we expect. So when we look at this, I think the Bears will win less games than we expect. I think that the Bears will underperform. So I'm out on Ben Johnson. Mike Vrabel, again, great mind. Already won this award with the Titans. We know what he's capable of. However, I think the Patriots struggle a little bit, and I don't think they win enough games. Like, I don't think 9 wins gets them in the conversation for Mike Vrabel getting the award. I'm out on him. Liam Cohen, I'm interested in Liam Cohen a little bit. I think the Jaguars perform well, and I think there's a lot of hype, and if he can figure out how to best use Travis Hunter, and Travis Hunter's being talked about, and more eyes are on this team, and conversations are happening, I think 10-1 is a good price on Liam Cohen. I don't think the Jets unjet themselves, so Aaron Glenn, cross it off. Pete Carroll, somewhat tempting, but again, I talked about this. I don't see the Raiders doing a whole lot. Mike McDonald. Who's throwing the rock? Sam Darnold. Who won Kevin O'Connell the award last year? Sam Darnold. There's a conversation to be had about Mike McDonald in his second year with Seattle. He figures out the defense. Seattle wins 10 games this year. Sam Darnold is a top 7 fantasy QB, puts up a lot of stats. I think Mike McDonald, if those two things are true, come week 16, 17, 18, Mike McDonald is sitting at plus 150. You get some good value there right now at 14-1. If you believe the Seahawks overperform, like I do believe, I think that's a good bet. Dave Canales, I think the Panthers will overperform this year. I think the Panthers will be better than people expect. I like Dave Canales at 14-1, truly. Kyle Shanahan, if they go on to win as many games as we project, maybe there's a conversation for Kyle Shanahan, but possibly my favorite pick on this slate. And this is another one that's kind of like Rookie of the Year. There's a lot of fun ones to talk about. Even Raheem Morris down here at 30-1. I think this is where you can find some value. Dan Quinn. If the Washington Commanders win the NFC East, if they dominate the Eagles this year, if the culture shifts and changes and people are saying, wow, Washington's the team to beat, not Philadelphia, not Dallas, certainly not the Giants, and Dan Quinn at 40-1 is a good price. I think it's Sean Payton. I think the Denver Broncos usurp what we have been so used to seeing in the AFC West and the Chiefs. I think Sean Payton figures it out. I think Bo Nix has a tremendous year. I think this defense cleans house. I think Sean Payton at 20-1 is a sneaky pick for Coach of the Year. Here are all of my official picks. I have not bet a single nickel on any of these guys any which way. So understand that right now. Will I? Probably. I'll probably go out, find the best odds for these, and I'll kind of narrow it down. I wanted to do something organic today. I wanted to just talk through my mindset, and I want you guys in the comments to do the same thing. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me where I'm stupid. It's the point of this. The point is to have conversation, to have discourse, and to get better through each other. The point is not to blindly take what I'm saying as fact and then base your decision-making blindly off of me. It's idiotic. MVP, I like Joe Burrow, I like Jalen Hurts, and I like Brock Purdy. Offensive Player of the Year, I like Jamar Chase, I like Joe Burrow, I like Jaden Daniels. Defensive Player of the Year, I like Nick Bosa and Nick Bosa only. Offensive Rookie of the Year, I like Cam Ward, Tyler Warren, and Travis Hunter. Defensive Rookie of the Year, I said we'd talk about a guy by the name of Mykel Williams, who is going to line up on the opposite side of Joey Bosa. I find this intriguing. It's kind of like a semi-hedge, a pseudo-hedge, if you will. Nick Bosa dominates, great. Maybe he wins Defensive Player of the Year. If Nick Bosa does not dominate, maybe he gets double team, offensive line keys in on him, the running back's picking him up. Mykel Williams, first round pick out of Georgia, is an interesting spot because he plays on the opposite side of Nick Bosa. He should have a weaker offensive line, a weaker pass defense, or passing offensive defense. What's the word I'm looking for here, chat? He should have an easier matchup if everybody's focused on Joey Bosa. There has been some conversation about his health, staying healthy, yada, yada. Do what you will. He's at 11-1. Pretty good price. I'm probably going to bet both of these guys at 11-1. Comeback Player of the Year, Daniel Jones is my number one pick. I think the Colts win I think maybe the Colts find a way. I don't know. I'm not going to say too much. I don't think the Colts find it. How about this? I have the Colts under. I think Daniel Jones comeback player of the year is a pseudo hedge for the Colts winning more games than I have for their under. Dak Prescott, J.J. McCarthy. I don't like J.J. McCarthy, but I do think it's becoming a weird quarterback award. I wouldn't touch this market. I'm actually probably not going to touch this market. Super Bowl, we'll talk about that later. Coach of the year, Sean Payton, Mike McDonald, Kyle Shanahan, and Dan Quinn are 4 plays that I think all hold some value in the market. Wow, guys, appreciate you very much stopping by today, letting me be organic, maybe letting me be unprofessional in quality. I understand that I flipped through here. This isn't great. I could have done better. I could have edited it. But sometimes I think it's more worthwhile to peel back the layers of the mind and see what's going on down below. Love you. See ya. We'll see you soon.